you're gonna buy, Taylor? Because you like we were talking the last couple of days about guns, and we were talking about ARs, semi-autos, and revolvers. So which is it gonna be?
Well, I feel like the most practical one for me to get is the AR. I'm the last of my friends and everyone I know to not own an AR.
This is like periods for men.
Yeah,
like you're gonna be one of the boys now.
Now I will. I've shot many ARs over the years. I've shot a ton of them, but they've always been friends or from a range. And so I'm gonna follow your advice, which I thought was incredibly prescient, where you were like, "Are you gonna be shooting stuff at 500 yards?" And I was like, "No." And then you're like, "Okay, well then get something like this." And then spend all that money you otherwise would have spent on a really expensive base model on the accessories. Get a brilliant sight, get a great handle, get a great grip. There's no purpose for you to have something so absurd. And so I'm buying an AR this Saturday. My buddy, who I've mentioned many times on this show, shout out, he's combat Marine. He's obsessed with guns. His level of knowledge is not quite yours, but up there. And so we're going to go and grab one. And after that, I really want a revolver. Really
before
want
we get to the revolver, are you getting an AR-15 M4 or whatever?
Yeah, AR-15.
Cool.
What's your thought?
Everyone has that. Everyone. I have an FN. I have an FN 2000, and for whatever reason, like I'm not a special shot, but there are a couple guns, my M&P 9mm, my Henry 22 lever action, and my FN 2000. I'm a better shot with those three weapons than I am with the other 20 some that I own. And whenever I pull out the FN 2000, like it's different than everybody else's scary black gun. I think cool. The scope, I think it looks dope on there, and
it's a bullpup.
It's a bullpup.
It's waterproof. The shells eject out the front, but only when you fill that tube up does the door open to start releasing.
If you only kill 4 or 5 guys, you leave no trace behind. Just saying.
That's true.
It's also the worst gun.
Bullet casings with their thumbprints
in
on
Modern Warfare 2.
It's the worst gun in MW2. That's
by far.
People used to slay with that thing.
In my hands, I can hit with that thing, and it just feels neater than all the other guns.
I considered your exact viewpoint. So I think that's going to break the budget though, because if you go to a quad rail AK, we're starting with like a $950 gun and then building on top of that. If we go to like a FAL, like a 308 FAL, we're starting with like a $2,000 gun. If we go to an FN, we're at a $2,500 gun. If we even an F2000 used, I think I bought mine for like $1,200, but I think they're like $1,500, maybe $1,800 these days. I don't know. And I also don't like those. So like I don't like the
You're
trigger.
Not a fan. Okay.
I had one. I loved it, but it was like my 73rd gun, not my first.
AR just makes the most sense. Like
it
makes the most sense because a cheap AR is $400 to $500. So you right out of the bat, you have a working rifle for $400 or $500, and then you can spend the rest of that like $1,000 budget or $1,200 budget or whatever it is on the accessories, the things that actually make the gun do its thing. Like you don't need a custom forged Malignum barrel if you're going to be shooting targets at 100 yards tops. You need a decent 1x6 power scope, a nice muzzle brake to take some of the kick out, a comfortable stock, a comfortable like a couple of grips, and you're good. You've got a nice ass rifle that will do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Not whatever you want.
Sense.
Like I said, you wouldn't take it to war. You wouldn't like go competitively shooting long range with it necessarily, but it meets all of your requirements.
But if I want to plink, or if I need to shoot someone a bunch of times because they broke into my house, like that, that's
what is plink?
Primo.
What is that? What is that?
Just going out and plinking, like just shooting targets,
metal targets.
Metal targets, 2 liters, watermelons.
Metal targets are tremendous. So metal targets, you get this really satisfying.
Yeah.
And they also they flip over. You get a visual thing, a visual cue that everybody, and so it's just like a video game. You can kind of keep score. There's there are these trees of targets where you can race each other to the top target. You have an identical amount of targets in a pattern, and we race each other to the top target. And obviously, you miss, you go back to your target, you slow down and stuff. Plinking is the fun way to shoot. You need like a little place full of bullshit. When you drive through the Southwest, there will be plinking stands on the side of the highway Like you'll literally pull over and there's just like tin cans and metal targets there for folks to pull over and shoot. It's great.
But
You guys know-
regardless, I'm taking your advice on the AR stuff. It makes a ton of sense to me. Go ahead.
Here's so I don't know what your budget is. I don't know what you want to do here, but I would get an AR that's like $500 roughly. And then my first thing I'd add on to it would be the FRT trigger. Like before even a good optic, I'd get that FRT trigger and turn that
looks
thing into
so fun, dude.
It's a legal machine gun. Basically, the way it works is you pull the trigger back and it resets the trigger for you, but you never stopped pulling it back. So it immediately fires again and becomes seemingly fully automatic, although every round is requiring one trigger pull. The trigger is just doing some of the work for you by resetting itself.
That's wild.
So they go, they are full auto. They are sick.
That seems so fun.
Can you turn it off?
I don't know, but I would imagine on high-end models there'd be well, see, like if you want to go semi-auto, it won't do anything unless
I don't
want
to accidentally shoot too, right? Like
I don't know the
see
answer to that
that
question,
happening.
but I would imagine that on like more expensive models, because I saw some of them are like $200 and I saw some of them are like $500 just for the triggers.
Dude, they're so close to full auto. When I learned about them, I was like, does this ruin the full auto market? If listeners don't know, something like 1985, you could
86.
sell full. Okay, up until 1986, you could sell these full auto guns. Those are grandfathered in, and they're really expensive now because they have special, less restrictive laws around them. These old
They can be
grandfathered.
a pre-86 made machine gun can be transferred from individual to individual with nothing more than the transference of a tax stamp. No licensing required. It is a legal machine gun.
For that reason, these guns, where like the semi-auto model might cost like $800 or something, they can go for $25,000 or $40,000. Like there's Kyle says more than that, 70,000. I don't know. And this trigger that he's talking about is so essentially full auto that I'm like, do people still want to pay 70 grand, 50 grand for an actual full auto when for 500 you get that too?
Yeah.
They're very good. They're very cool. I would definitely put that on there, and then I'd probably go to an optic or something after that.
You gave me a ton. I saved every single thing you linked me yesterday and the day before, just so I can go back.
That's such a sign of respect. I would be honored if you were like, "Look, Woody's speaking. I got to take notes." That's never.
I did. I saved every single thing Kyle sent because
it's just
people will look at Kyle's old videos and be like, "Oh, he was being bombastic. He was being entertaining. He was doing a character. This and that." Easy to forget. Kyle has an encyclopedic knowledge of firearms, accessories.
I don't know about
all of it.
I'm plugged in. I'm plugged into the hobby, or I used to be plugged into the hobby pretty well, so I know brands, price points, and it's a lot. I play Tarkov too, so like assembling your gun is this. It was very much like if you were new at Tarkov and you were like level 25 or 30, and you're like, Kyle, build me a budget AR. All right, I got you. Like it's the same parts. That Romeo sight. That's used plenty of all the time in Tarkov. That's
they have
favorite
like
early red
brands.
Everything. Yeah, that's why so many gun guys like Tarkov. You can build the gun you have at home in the game.
That's cool.
Like down to all the scopes and red dots. There are so many attachments. There are dozens of grips. I think Taylor, like if you get into guns a little bit, that can be the gateway drug to Tarkov. Because there's PvE Tarkov where just you and I would go in and fight bots. And the bots are lethal, but it's very gun centric. Like it really is like making a real gun when you build your guns and stuff.
Interesting.
It's very fun. It's addictive as hell. And I would love to play Tarkov and have a reason to play Tarkov.
Well, I mean, I'm loving looking more into guns now and dreading the fact that I'm getting into it, because this seems like the most expensive hobby I can imagine, other than like if I suddenly got into cars.
So the problem is like as long as you don't make any wrong turns and buy the wrong thing or waste some money on stuff, is like my dad bought a gun the other day and I'm like, why didn't you ask my opinion? I was like, this would be like if you're fucking like if I was like Kyle Petty, the race car driver, and you went and joined a race team or something without me. Like, what are you doing? You didn't. I just want to summon shoot. Fuck you, dude. I was so mad.
Why wouldn't you fucking ask?